What's up, guys? Node Investor here for another edition of the Node Investor. But this edition is going to be the cold and sinus edition. So bear with me if my my voice sounds a little raspy or dry. Just getting over a cold here, but I'm doing much better. And so I want to give you guys a quick update on the markets. Mostly the big names: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. But I also want to use this as an opportunity to do a little bit of training, education, kind of showing you some of my techniques with regards to some of the shorter term trading that I do. Both investments and trading as well, but very active. And I want to show you guys just some of the indicators, some of the patterns that I saw that helped me avoid the majority of this pullback we've seen. And also what I'm looking for here on the low end as far as re-entry points. So let's get to it. Taking a look at Bitcoin first. This is the 4-hour chart on Coinbase or GDAX. And looking at the bigger picture here, we had that big low and the big rally off the low. Nice cup and handle here, which gave us a good breakout right around that 8,900, 9,000 mark. And it just seemed like the rally was never going to end. It was so strong, going up high, looking very good. But a couple of things I was looking at here near the top of this rally as this started to get really narrow here. I was watching a slight divergence in the RSI. And there's a couple of things that I look at here. I look at volume. You guys know I'm a big proponent of volume. I do use RSI, I use MACD, Fibonacci retracement levels, some of the big ratios, and I'll go into that here in a minute. And just, of course, moving averages and all the normal stuff here. But near the top, as it started to really rally, what I was looking for was this trend that it was holding here for a little bit. And this got pretty steep here. And I was watching this as well as the moving average. And we saw a pretty high volume reversal at the top. And if you zoom in a little bit here in the shorter term time frames, you can see how volume picked up here near the top, and it showed up even more pronounced on some of the other exchanges. But you can see relative to the prior move, this big bar, right, it seemed like we went from 11K, 11.8 straight down to 11.2, and that was in an hour. Volume was above average, then it followed through with some higher volume selling, and we were seeing that. You can see in the 30 minutes just how big that was. That was pretty quick move to the downside, and that was unusual relative to most of the whole move up. We hadn't seen that level of volume and selling in a very short period of time. And so that was my signal. So my first signal was this first break, took half my position off here around 11.4, and then I gave it a little bit more to the downside. As it continued further, I got completely out, went to cash, and pretty much just let it play out. I started doing some analysis as to how low this could go. And so that's what I was looking for. So a couple of things to look at was that volume, big volume reversal. And if we go to some of the other exchanges, you can see here, this is 11.8, the 11.7 to 11.6 break, big volume there. And it was pretty much the same story on most exchanges. Here's on Bitstamp, highest volume in the last long period of time in this 4-hour bar. So that's always the first sign when you see a big volume break near the top. There was also a slight divergence on this RSI starting to shape up and just kind of indicating that, hey, this second leg up of this rally was starting to lose a little bit of steam. Now, RSI divergence isn't necessarily a sell signal in and of itself, but you definitely want to start paying attention when you see that. And so that's kind of what brought my attention to this. And I was just watching the charts, and I get to watch them a lot closer. And so I was really paying attention and looking for these signals. And when I saw that first break off the top, that was kind of my signal to start getting out of the way. And so that's the first thing. The other thing, if we zoom out here and do a fib retracement analysis, and so let me zoom out here. So this is the entire move up, right? And from the top right around 19K all the way to the bottom. If you do an analysis on that and you say, okay, if we bounced, how high could that go? You can see we came pretty close to that 382 level. We actually stalled just before it, and we were trying to break above. It looked like we were finally going to get going, and then that was the big reversal day. And so that was pretty interesting to see that we basically bounced almost exactly to that point and came even closer on some of the other exchanges. Now, on the bounce, the other thing to look at is, okay, we had this bounce, and we go peak to peak on that. And what I was looking for is a pullback to at least that first level. And we pretty much have seen that play out almost exactly Let me zoom in on that here, and we go to the 4 hours. I was looking at a couple of levels on the downside. The first one was that 382 level, which we saw bottom out yesterday, and we're trying to rally off of that level here. I was also looking at a few key support areas, and so the levels that I was looking for were this mid 9K level, so the 9495 level, which was pretty close to that first key fib level, so that was within the zone. And then I was looking at this prior breakout, so right around 9K, give or take a little bit there. And so those are the two levels I really wanted to see hold on this downside. If we got much below this 8,000 level, that would really be bearish, as it would start to shift the momentum on this rally that we saw off the low. At this point, this is just a normal pullback, a good pullback, and we needed it off of this massive rally we saw from the low. And this low was, I believe, 100% off the rally. Yeah, I mean, it was 98% off of the low. So that was a pretty good bounce off that low. We needed some pullback. This is the first test to see if we make a higher low and this rally continues to the upside. So far, it looks like we're hitting that first retracement level. I'd like to see a little bit more upside confirmation to show that that really was the low. But for now, that's a pretty good support right above this key support area. Below that, if we do decide to break, the area I'm looking for is that $9,000 mark. So zooming in a little bit on this most recent rally today. So we had that rally off the low. We bottomed right around 9,600 yesterday, and we started to rally. Not as much buy volume as I would like to see. You can see there's still quite a bit of selling started to show up at the top. But then here in the last few hours or so, during most of today, we were downtrending pretty good in a pretty narrow little channel here. Now, keep in mind, this is the 30-minute chart, so it's very granular. And here we are trying to break out of that now. But again, not a ton of volume yet. So I want to see that start showing up on the upside if, if this bounce and this slight pullback is to continue higher. Now, it's interesting to see using the same fib analysis on this bounce. If you take the rally off of the low yesterday, you can see today we pulled back almost exactly to that first or that second level, that 618 level, right around 9,800, 9,900 or so. And it held there for a couple of hours, and we're trying to rally off of that. And so from a trading perspective, that's what you look for. Where's the low? Where's those areas of support and resistance? And, that's pretty good for me in terms of taking an early entry point and trying to get back in. So I've got some wiggle room since I've got out most of the way here, and now I'm starting to scale back in here at the lows. And we'll just have to keep some tight stops right around that 9,800 level, and then of course the low from yesterday, because if we break that, then we could see a test of these support levels that I'm looking at. So that 94, 9,300 area, and then 9,000. And keep in mind, we're still below the key moving average, the short-term 10 EMA on the 4 hour. And so we haven't yet seen that upside confirmation. I want to see this thing break out, and a close above that 10,300, 10,400 area, especially with volume, would be very positive and would start to shift the momentum back up. Let's take a look at Ethereum now. ETH versus BTC hit some very extreme oversold conditions a couple of days ago. I was just watching this thing sell off versus BTC, and I was keeping a close eye on it because I was looking for a bottom here. You can see how low RSI got. RSI went down to 10 on the scale. Very extreme, very oversold in the near term. This is the 4-hour charts, but on all time frames, it was starting to hit those extreme oversold conditions. You can see on the 1 hour, we were down there way at the lows. Even on the 5-minute, it was just a quick sell-off, but that was the bottom. A lot of volume started to show up there versus BTC. Now on the daily, didn't quite hit as extreme levels, but it went all the way down to 30, so that's pretty good low point on the RSI scale. Now, what I'm looking at here is we started to base out here near the lows, and then yesterday, big volume popped to the upside. We're pulling back, and we're testing that moving average, and I want to see this hold and start to resume the uptrend. So I'm liking Ethereum here again. I was predominantly BTC. I thought BTC was the place to be for the last couple of weeks, and that proved to be overall the place to be. But now I'm looking at some of these alts now that they've had that big pullback versus Bitcoin, and I'm looking to see some outperformance if Bitcoin decides to find a bottom here near term. Now, looking at ETH on the USD side, there's a couple of things I'm looking at here. I've got my chart already marked up because I was sharing that with somebody earlier, but there is a unique pattern showing up here on this chart. And this is a head and shoulders, an inverted head and shoulders complex, meaning there's you can make a case for the two heads here at the low. And so what I'm looking at is there's a neckline right around that 870, 880 mark or so. And so the left shoulder came down to about 818. We rallied, we bounced around, we made a pretty good low. And then here we are rallying again yesterday and then pulling back today, making a higher low right around that 828. And we're starting to rally again. If we see a breakout above this neckline, that projects out to about 940, 950 range, which makes sense because that's, this resistance back here that we saw. And so that'd be the first test if we continue higher on this pattern. So I'm liking Ethereum here in the near term. Again, keep in mind this is the 30-minute chart and even on the 1-hour chart. Very short time frames, but if you're doing trading and such like I am, this just makes for a nice setup and gives you a trade for a day or so. So that's what I'm watching on Ethereum. I'm liking that one. Let's take a look at Litecoin. Litecoin BTC, trying to set up here, trying to find a base off the low. It's rallied, putting in a little bit of a flag pattern here. So we want to see this 0.02 level hold, and a breakout would be moving out above this 205, 206 area on the BTC side. Now on the USD chart, you can see it's not quite as strong, but again, trying to make a higher low, trying to change the momentum here to the upside. We had a pretty good pullback from 250 all the way down to the 180s. We've rallied. Now we need to make a higher low and start to shift this. If we can get back above that 215, 220 mark, that would really be bullish and would set up another test of these key resistance areas here in the mid 200 range. So I'm liking Ethereum again, or excuse me, I'm liking Litecoin in the near term, but I believe between the two, I'd pick Ethereum over Litecoin as far as the big three goes. And one more I want to point out today because I am really liking this chart, and that is OmiseGo versus Bitcoin. Now, it's had a huge rally here in December, and it's since been basing out, and it is putting in a very nice cup and handle pattern here over the course of 46, 48 days or so. And this is a very strong pattern, especially when you see these type of patterns on the long-term time frame. They just break out and they just hold up a lot nicer. If this decides to break out, the upside target that I'm looking at is about 30% higher from here. So I'm paying attention to that versus the USD. The level I'd be looking at for the same signal would be a breakout above that 1850 mark or so. And you can see here, this also had that big bottom rally trying to pull in. So far, holding the moving average. Now this is on the daily chart, so a little bit bigger time frame, but I'm watching this one. So right now versus BTC, this is looking like a very good chart. So I thought I'd point that out to you guys just because it's one of the better looking ones right now. And OmiseGo is shaping up to do some pretty good things here. So keep an eye on this one. So going back to Bitcoin real quick, just to summarize, over the next couple of days, keep an eye on that $9,600 level, give or take. We want to see that low hold, and a close above this 10.3, 10.4 area would start to really confirm and getting back above that 10 EMA on the daily. So thanks for watching, guys. Until next time, take care.